Here is what I'll be showing you how to do today. I have an imported image, and with a paint bucket tool I can sample and apply these different colors to different areas that I have isolated. That's important to know that I have isolated these areas. If I were to sample this yellow and click over here, it's going to paint the entire thing. But if I were to come back and sample any size area, that now becomes a geometry that I can sample a color from and paint inside. So it's really intended to be more of an on-the-fly planning and estimating exercise that works well with a group of people. You can put this up on a projector and be walking through the areas, getting quick calculations and numbers and so forth. For example, if I want to find out the area of just the yellow colored square footage, I can right click, go over area and select material, and I can see really quickly the square footage. Really kind of neat and helpful tool, really easy to set up. You don't need any external image editors to do this. All you need is one reasonably resolutioned image. Let's get started. First thing you'll want to do is import an image. Make sure that you have use as image selected as the import option, not new matched photo and not as a texture. Once this is imported, if you open up your material browser with the paint bucket tool, you'll notice that you don't see that material. You will see it when you right click and explode that imported material. There it is, right there. So the next thing I'll do here is to use the tape measure tool to click on two known points distance wise. I know that this building is 162 feet, so I will type that and hit enter, and it will scale. It'll be accurate enough for this exercise. Now, I know this image has a little bit better resolution than what I can see, so what I'm going to do is click on SketchUp and Preferences. If you are in Windows, you will want to go to Window and Preferences. The Mac, it's over here. Click on OpenGL and make sure this is checked. You'll get a little warning saying make sure your computer can handle it. I would recommend just trying it. You will know if your computer can handle it or not fairly soon. But notice that this image now is much more legible and readable. Now the material browser on Mac and Windows is a little bit different. So I'm going to do the Mac first and then I'll jump over to Windows. If you're on a Windows machine, just fast forward, click ahead, and this should only take a minute. But to duplicate in the Mac, you want to right click and select duplicate. So I'm going to name this one red. I'll add the colors later. I'll name this one green, and I'll do that one more. Since these are all the same, it doesn't matter which ones I'm right clicking on to duplicate. Now to edit these, you want to right click and select edit. On this dialog, make sure you've got the color wheel clicked, and here you can see the name. I've named this one red. All you need to do is click somewhere in the red area and do close. So I'll go ahead and do that with the other ones really quickly. Edit. This one I have named green, so click on the green area, click close. And once more for the yellow, edit. Yellow and close. Now my materials are in my browser as I would like them, and let's go over to Windows and I'll show you the difference. I've got this file prepped the same, it's scaled correctly, I've turned on my maximum texture size. There is no duplicate if you right click, so what you want to do is just click on that image and click on this little button here, create material. And now it's the same process, so I'll call this one red. I'll go through this rather quickly. Yellow and green. Also, there is no edit. Well, there is an edit, but there's not the same edit. That'll take it out to an external editor. In order to change the color, as I did on the Mac side, you need to highlight that newly duplicated texture and click on the Edit tab. You should see this little wheel. I'll click on the green, go back to Select, highlight the next one, Edit. This one I've named Red. I can see the name right there. Select, click, Edit, yellow, done. Now both the Mac and PC is set up correctly, so I will finish out on the Mac side because the rest is pretty much the same, with the exception of one modifier key that I'll explain here in a moment. Let's get this back into my view a little bit better. So with the rectangle tool, I'll go ahead and just draw blocks around a few different areas that I want to really quickly color. And again, this is really just an estimation exercise, so it doesn't need to be exact. And maybe, oh, how about that little restroom? All right, that looks good. You might think that you could just drag a texture out of your material browser onto those newly isolated geometries. If you try it, as I just did, you'll see it doesn't quite line up. So let's undo that. That has to do with how the image is projected. So don't apply it with the paint bucket tool. Don't drag it over. What you want to do, aside from undoing that, which I just did, is to apply the color with the entity info. So right click on a newly isolated geometry, bring up your entity info dialog, and you'll see two panes here. One's for the front face, one's for the back. Click on the face, then click on the color you want to apply to that face. Keep an eye in my SketchUp window. Notice everything aligns. Now there's one extra dialog when you do this on the Windows side, but you could do that for each area. It's a little bit cumbersome. Here's what I like to do as I'm prepping this file is I like to just draw a few little squares up in the corner. They don't need to be perfect. Oops. Don't want to do that because if I copy that, it's going to copy the geometries or the material applied to that geometry. So I'm just drawing some rectangles. You can really draw any shape up here. And this will really become my swatch. So I'll do the same thing here for as many textures as I would like to do this to. Click on the next one, click on the color, click on the next one. And my entity window dialog is still open. That first face is still selected. So now this becomes my swatch where I can quickly sample with the paint bucket tool and apply to my geometries that I've isolated on my image. Now, here's another Mac and PC difference. On the Mac, you want to hold the Command key. On Windows, it's the Alt key. That will bring up the sample tool, and you can sample and apply. Let's bring this back into view. I've still got my paint bucket. I will sample, yellow, and apply. And maybe red means demo, so I'll just say, yeah, we're going to demo that. Green means I've got an idea of what's going to go into this space. Yellow means the space has not been determined. You can create as many colors, and oops, I accidentally applied that. I don't want to do that. Let's undo that. As many colors as you need, but what's nice about this is it becomes a very flexible on-the-fly tool that you could throw this up on a projector with a group of decision makers and talk through this space. And you can quickly estimate areas simply by right-clicking, going to area, and selecting material. So every area that's green I can see is 2170 square feet. And for demo, well, if maybe demo is going to be $5 a square foot, and I just want to know what the area of that selection is, well, I can do the math and start doing some really rough estimates of what that would cost. And for the most part, it just turns into a nice little planning and programming on-the-fly tool. If you do this, you of course would not want to prep the file as I did before your meeting with the group of people, but once it's set up, It's really easy. You don't even need the swatches after a while because you can just sample different colors within your model and apply. And again, I'm just using the paint bucket and the modifier key. Pretty easy stuff. Give it a shot. I hope you find this little process as helpful as I have.